Hello and welcome to the Growth Handbook series. My name is Jacob. I'm software engineer at Meta. Previously, I was at Microsoft. I built a few products during my career and I spent over 2 years at Facebook Marketplace Growth Team. In this video series, I will share everything what I learned about growth. If you find this video useful, please hit the like button. This will give me a signal that this type of content is useful and I'll do more of it. You probably have a long backlog of ideas, but you don't know which one you should start working on. In such situations, it's imperative to apply ruthless prioritization. Once, when Andrew Carnegie was asked for a productivity advice, he recommended to make a list of top 10 most important projects, rank them, and start working on the first one. So how do you prioritize? One approach you can take is to use ICE framework. ICE stands for impact, confidence, and ease of implementation. So impact is how much given growth strategy will contribute to growth of your product. So for example, let's take expanding to India, which is 4 to 5 times as big market as United States. So in that case, the impact might be that you will 4 to 5x number of users and hence 4 to 5x your sales. Confidence means how confident you are that the projected impact will actually be realized. So for example, again, if you're expanding to India, how confident are you that you will achieve this 4 to 5x growth? If you did international expansion in the past, your confidence might be high. If you haven't, it might be low because it's a new territory. And also different markets behave differently, so it'll be always somewhere lower than 10. And ease of implementation is how easy it is to implement. So for example, when it comes to India expansion, is what do you need to do in order to launch your product in India? So for example, do you have to translate your website, or do you have to, if you have a book, do you have to translate your book into different languages, or do you have to implement new payment system? What about taxes? Maybe there are some data laws you have to comply to, and there might be any other considerations that you have to implement in order to make a particular thing happen. So when you have all your ideas, you take them and you assign them score from 1 to 10 for each impact, confidence, and ease of implementation. So for example, let's say we have our India expansion and we have another idea, which is creating new notification, notifying people about the new version of your product. So let's say India expansion, well, as we said, the market is 4 to 5 times as big as US. So impact is huge. So we can give it a score 10. Then we look at the confidence. How confident are we that we actually going to achieve as much growth as we are projecting? Well, if we never did international expansion, it's kind of like 50-50. So let's say it's 5. And then how easy is it to implement this expansion? Well, again, there's possible translation, maybe some payments, doing taxes. So it's not super easy. So maybe let's give it 4. So now we have 10 plus 5 plus 4, it's 19. And then we look at the notification about the new version of your product. So what could be the impact? So maybe from the past, we know that usually when there's new version of the product and you send such notification, people, maybe 1% of people will buy it. So this is pretty good actually. So you might estimate the impact around, let's say 5. So give you the score of 5. Then you look at the confidence. Well, so again, if you did it in the past, your confidence will be high. So probably, let's say 9. It might not be 10 because you can never be so sure. Maybe a previous version was better, maybe people will be not so willing to buy this one, so let's give it 9, which is still high. And then how easy is it to implement? Well, if you've done it in the past and you just have to copy paste and kind of do something you did in the past, and there's no unknowns, the ease is pretty high as well, which means it's pretty easy. So let's assign it 10. So now we have 5 plus 9 plus 10, it's 24. So now if we compare the index expansion, which had 19, and its notification, which actually has 24, well, actually notification will rank higher. It's easier to do. Impact is pretty certain. It's not as high, but it's pretty certain and easy to implement. So you should go after notification. Of course, you know, these are all the numbers that are very subjective, but it gives you some idea and it give you like look at these things from this perspective, because these are very critical component when it comes to growth. It's not about how easy it is to implement, because if it's easy to implement but impact is low, maybe you shouldn't even bother. But if impact is very high and it's easy to implement, like you should go after it right away. And confidence is something that you will develop with time, right? So you might, for example, when considering the India expansion, you may look at this as a learning opportunity. So for example, like my confidence is pretty low here because I've never done international expansion. But after I do that, my confidence for other international expansion will be much higher. Hence, the learning from it is high. So maybe it actually makes sense to do it. So, you know, considering these variables is tricky, but it gives you like a base framework for doing this prioritization. And what you also notice is that many times you have like this awesome idea, and many times when you throw it in the backlog, you assign this score and compare with all other ideas you had, you'll notice that this idea is not as appealing, because we have this like novelty effect in us that when we have this shiny new idea, we want to go after it right away. So I strongly recommend, if you have new idea, let it sit for a week, put it in the backlog, and compare it to other ideas you have. So now, call to action for you. You also probably have a backlog of ideas. Rank them with ICE framework methodology and start working on the first one. If you made it that far, you probably found this video useful. If that's the case, please hit the like button. If you have any questions, please leave the comment. I will be very happy to answer. You can also subscribe to my channel to get notifications about new videos. If you want to learn more about growth, check out the links in the video description. You'll find there my recommended books about growth and link to my growth handbook.